All right, welcome back. In the previous session, I had this error message come up, and let's see if we can resolve that. And what I did is I restarted the application, all right, and we got it again. So every time I do a move here, I'm getting this message here. Now, okay. Now, if we stop for a minute here and actually read the error message, nav slide step is not a valid integer value. Nav slide step. It's got something to do with sliding. Is not a valid integer value. There are no integer oh, ooh, here we go. Look at that. Nav slick. Ooh, okay. Somehow this field here got a different value. Let's put my 200 back in. Now does it work? It works. Okay. All right. All right, a little side note here. You know, I'm always ready for Mandelbulb3D to crash or become unstable. In this particular case, it was telling me that there's a problem with an error message that a developer would understand, but a user understanding that? Look, if I put nav, oh, there, okay. Now we have a blank. It is not valid. Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's put the 200 back in. So what happened is I got an error message that a user would not understand. A programmer would, a programmer of Mandelbulb3D. All right, let's move ahead. All right, so my moves work now. So what I was trying to do here is I want to move forward a long way, and I want to match the speed, the forward motion speed of this animation sequence to this new one, but I'm going to do that in the video editor. So here we go. Finally. All right, let's just tweak that so we can see it a little bit better. All right, let's get our guides back up. There we go. So there's my center point. So I'm going to head right toward that center point. All right, I'm going to use my Stream Deck to do it. Here we go. Look at that. I just moved a long, long, long way. I have no idea how many presses that was. I have none. So that's why I have a question mark in there. I have no idea how far that forward is. Now, let's get this, all right, keyframe 11 now. Okay, so I think what happened was I'm moving into the scene. I don't quite want to do that. I don't want to dive into the scene. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a slide up, and I'm going to do a look up. All right, you know, bear with me now. So I'm going to do a slide up, and what's that? That slide up is going to be this value right here. I'm going to do 1 times 200. All right, plus I'm going to do a lookup, and this is going to be 1 times 5, 1 step times 5. Oh, all right, that's sorry. What did I do? I just pressed the light. Okay, no damage done. I just pressed that light button. No damage done. Okay, so I want to do a slide up 1 time. And I want to do a lookup 1 time. Okay, good. So I move forward a long way, and now I'm sliding up and I'm looking up a little bit because I don't want to dive into my fractal. So I'm going to make that a keyframe. All right, up to the keyframe. All right, and so, okay, that's my move. Now let me check it out. All right, now what I'm going to do is I would love to be able to see just that one keyframe motion, but it won't let me do that. It's not going to let me do the last keyframe to the last keyframe. I have to do previous keyframe, which is not all that bad. So I'm gonna render this preview, and then I'm gonna cut the film, and we'll get back to this, and we'll see what this preview looks like of these last two keyframes. Here we go. All right, you see how fast that is? I mean, that's booking. That is booking. All right, now, my plan was, as you saw me, I moved a lot of forwards. I have no idea. I moved so many forwards, I have no idea how many forwards steps I moved. All right, and my plan was I was going to mess with this in the video editor. But there is something else I can do. While this is running here, you notice here that I have 100 subframes. All right, now, yeah, 100 subframes of keyframe 11 that takes me to 12. What if I was to make that 500 subframes? Would that slow me down? Would that slow my forward motion down? It would have, yes, it would. It would have the effect of slowing it down, because in my video editor, I'm going to run this whole thing at 60 frames per second. So if I add more subframes, and those are then, what shall we say, compacted into 60 frames, it would have the tendency to be slower than this. Let's try it. All right, exit. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to do 500 subframes. I'm just going to click off of that to make sure that that value is taken. And then I'm still going to render keyframes 10 through the last. Let's render this. I'm going to cut the film, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay. Now, keep in mind that we're also looking at the subframes of keyframe 10. So that's part of this is keyframe 10, but it is slower, isn't it? It is slower. So one way I could deal with this, one way that I can get the forward speed to match my previous animation sequence is I could keep messing around with the number of subframes in between. All right. And I have slowed it down, which is the effect that I want. We're going to try one more thing, and I'm going to set these subframes to 1000 and get off of it to make sure it takes. All right. And I'm going to render the preview, and I'm going to cut the film. We'll come back and we'll take a look at the 1000 and see if that's even slower. Here we go. Okay, so here's what we got. Now remember now, part of this sequence here is the subframes of keyframe 10, and you'll notice here that I'm moving along and then I go slow, and I slow down. So where I slow down, right there, all right, that's my 1000 subframes that gave me a slower forward movement. So now 1000 subframes for keyframe number 11 right here is too slow. The 500 seem to be pretty good. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put this keyframe 11 back to 500 subframes. Going to render it back out again, and when we come back to the next session, we'll take a look at it, and we'll take a little bit closer look at it and see whether or not I have managed to get a forward motion speed which is similar to which is similar to the previous animation sequence. All right. I'll see you in the next session.